Hi, this is Steve Owens, Entertainment World, and I've got on the phone with me Natalie Knepp from Amazon's new series, Z, the beginning of everything, but has been in Blue Blood, Damage, CSI, Good Wife, Gossip Girl, and I was just watching her on Orange is the New Black. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Since your series is called Z, the beginning of everything, well, why don't we start with the beginning of you, with your career? Tell us about your first project and how you got started in the business.
Okay, well, I started as a harpist actually. I grew up playing the harp, which my mom also plays the harp. So I started at 5. So I think a love for the arts in general was always really important to me. But I didn't really get into acting fully until I had auditioned for Interlochen Arts Academy in Upper Michigan for theater, and I got accepted, which was such a huge honor, at 16 years old to go to one of the most prestigious schools in the world. So I had gone to Interlochen, and I studied theater there, and as well as harp. And then I went to Rutgers Mason Gross School of the Arts from there, and I studied acting there. And then I graduated, college and moved straight to New York, and everything kind of progressed from there. My love for the theater, I started in theater. And then, I never really knew if I would, really vibe with TV and everything. And I think my first TV job was Gossip Girl. I did a great guest star role, and I got to work with some really, really cool actors, and on a really cool, hip new show. And it kind of gave me that bug for like, ooh, I like this,
Mm-hmm.
like I want to do this. I want to like work in television. And so it kind of started from there. So Gossip Girl, and I remember even being on the first day on set being so nervous, like just so nervous. But everyone just really took you under their wing and like helped you kind of like, understand where to step, like, how to meet your mark and all that stuff. And then it just kind of took off from there, and then I started working on shows and like booking different guest star roles and then recurring roles, and I feel so fortunate to have had the success that I've had, but I think it comes down to hard work as well as having the support behind you with my manager, who I've been with for over 10 years, who has just been my champion, and as I call her, my mama bear, and my agents, and also my friends and family, who just like kept pushing me to keep going, because the business can be very hard and very daunting at times. But when you have that passion and you have that support behind you, it's so easy to just go, keep going. As my mom always said, just keep going.
No, you've had a great career in New York City. The reason for moving to New York, was that because of the theater starting there versus Los Angeles?
Yeah, well, I'm such an East Coast girl. I grew up in Ohio, in like a small suburb of Cleveland. So I think for me, it was I did go to Rutgers, which is in New Jersey. So I think that it was an easier move for me to come to New York first. But also I had a sense of New York, having been in New Jersey for so long and coming in and out of the city during my time there. And I had also I studied at Rutgers. We studied a year at the Globe Theatre in London. So it was also a city that very much, it hit me like what London hit me like. I loved London. So I love that kind of big city feel. So for me, New York was the place to start, and then eventually it was maybe I'll go to LA. And I love LA, and I love spending time there. But for me, the East Coast vibe, the East Coast actors, and the East Coast, scene is a little bit more my vibe than LA.
I totally get it. So who would you say the casting director that gave you your big break to start you on your way?
Oh boy, there's so many. But I will say more than anyone, there's Marcy Phillips has really been through the years, like just my champion, and not just mine. I think everyone. She's written books about it, blogs about it. She is an actor's casting director, and she is somebody who, all through the years, every time that I've gone through points where I've been frustrated and all of that, she is someone who's always been willing to just sit with you and talk you through it and just be on your side. And Marcy's the first person who comes to mind, but there's so many different people who have also and then the same thing with Z, Maribeth Fox's office. They are just so wonderful and so warm and welcoming. And Bowling Misha is another one. There's Paul Schnee's office has also been my champion. Ross Meyerson and Julie Tucker are other casting directors who have just always been on my side, and I just love them so much. And I feel so grateful to have the relationships that we've cultivated over the years together as well.
Great. Now you got to remember that for the Emmys because they don't get recognized. All right.
Well, that's the crazy thing, and I say this to casting directors all the time, is that I think there needs to be more recognition for the fact that we come out of school, and those are the people that we really learn from and learn how to navigate ourselves through this business. They're the ones who teach us the kind of the ins and outs of it. I remember even Jandis Estrada, who is also a friend of mine, she really, I think I learned so much from her when I took an on-camera class with her when I was first out of school. Before we even became friends, and I just remember being like, oh, God, I never thought of that. You know what I mean? I just never thought of that. Or, like, we didn't learn that while we were theater artists. You know, we were very much about, you know, the art of theater and everything. And then all of a sudden, the camera is a very different animal. It's a completely different beast. So I just am very grateful for all of the people who have, like, taught me over the years.
Well, if people can see your demo reel, it's on IMDb Pro, and actually a couple scenes that were pretty interesting in there. Watching it, you had the Orange Is the New Black with Jason Bigg, but the one that got me was the Blue Blood, where you're interfaced with Jamie, the character on the show, and you're running in between cars. Did they do that in slow motion, or were you pretending to be a stunt woman in it?
Oh my goodness, it's such a crazy story. I actually, when we got to set for that day of shooting, I remember the stunt girl was so sweet, and we had like very similar body types, and she looked like me, and it was like real. And I was like, she was doing the stunt, and she was like showing me how she was going to do it, and I was like, would you mind if I did it? I was like, I just feel like I need to do it, you know. And the director was very, very much like, we don't know, no. And I was like, just let me just try it in like a slower motion kind of thing, and I felt it in my body, and it really led up to like the tears and like getting to that emotional space. And there was actually a moment because they were like, let's let her do it, you know, let's have her do the actual scene. And there's no slow motion. I'm running, and it's like a hit this beat and then hit this beat and then this beat. And there's one point in it where you see Jamie's foot, or Will's foot, actually almost get hit by one of the cabs. And they in studio, or in Video Village, they were looking in the monitors, and like you heard this actual gasp because everyone thought, they were like, oh my God. And then of course our director goes, did you get that? Did you get it? Because it used it in the show, and it's terrifying because that's what it's like. I mean, if you're running through traffic in the middle of the street, which is probably the smartest way to get attention and get away from the person who's chasing you. But yeah, it was a really beautiful experience to be like, I want to do my own stunt.
Yeah, it came across very real. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, they let me do it, and I was so excited. And then it was the same thing with the next scene where I was like going to get kidnapped. It's not on my reel, but the whole, you know, you can see the whole episode. It's the last episode of the first season. There's a later scene too where she was there and she was dressed, you know, in the same outfit, and I was like, would you mind if I did the scene instead? And it was so much fun. Like, I love stunts and all that stuff.
Great. So now on to the big new exciting news, the Amazon series, Z, the beginning of everything. And it airs on Amazon starting on January 27th. And the great thing about that show is we can binge watch. So
I know. Isn't it so fun? Christina Ricci plays Zelda, and I actually play Eugenia Bankhead.
Oh, okay.
Who is Tallulah Bankhead's sister. Tallulah was a famous actress, stage actress and film actress back in that time before Zelda really hit the screen. And Tallulah was the one who really took Zelda under her wing and showed her how to screen test and all that. So the Bankhead sisters, when I remember getting the audition for it and going, oh my God, like the Bankheads, like they really were this like ideal. I mean, sure, you've read The Great Gatsby. It's like you look into this world that F. Scott created, and what's so fun about playing Eugenia is the challenge of like really capturing that bubbling quality to them, where it was actually like a moral decline all through the Roaring '20s. It was glamour and wealth and celebrity that made self-indulgence fashionable. So we were those people that were creating this world around Zelda, which ultimately I think led to the demise. Even though she had so much coming for her, everyone else around her kind of led her into that direction. And, you know, this is the thing about Eugenia, is I think it's always fun to play a girl that misbehaves, but to play one that is so iconic, in the literature that like we grow up reading and loving as teenagers really became just such a privilege for me. I will say this though, in terms of like doing Z as well, is I mean, it couldn't be a better time on the heels of the largest women's march in world history, which I was just in D.C. for, to debut Christina Ricci's Zelda, because she doesn't, I mean, this show is going to inspire feminists of every age. She was the original flapper. She's coming out and she's making history as a woman, which is so important. Saying, I mean, I don't know if I want to, how much I want to give away unless people know like the whole story of Zelda, but there's a lot in terms of the difference between men and women during that time and also during this time now too.
Do you actually have to screen test for this?
Well, no, we had callbacks in New York, and then so we originally auditioned with casting here in New York, and then the producers and the writers came out, and we had auditions for them. And I have to say, it was one of the most rewarding experiences as an actor to go into this particular casting room with this particular group of writers and producers. It was a room full of class act women, and then one man, Ian, who was so wonderful. But these women were just like, I remember the woman who plays my sister in it, Christina Bennett Lind, who I've known for many years, and we've been friends for so long. I was so excited to see her there. I was like, can we play sisters? I remember walking out and saying to her, I was like, did you feel like you just gave the best audition of your life? She's like, I did. Like, they were just laughing. They were so on your side. You could tell that these women loved the project that they were doing, that they were excited to be a group of women and one man, and they were excited to be a part of something that was going to make history. And that was the thing, is like, you even felt that from the first day we got on set, the laughter, like the camaraderie that we all felt. It was just this beautiful piece. Every single day we were on set, we felt so lucky to be there. I think this might go down as like one of the best projects I've ever been a part of, and I'm so grateful every single day for it.
I noticed on your IMDb that you've done a lot of short movies. Is that because of getting into the field of the business, or was it character choices, you want to try something different to expand your resume on?
Yeah, I think it depends on, like, I think which one. I think a lot, well, for some of the short films I've done are usually friends who have been like, hey, you want to read this script, and would you want to, like, come and play, and do something for a little bit. And I think when you're developing a resume and, like, you're getting on set and, like, you're doing a bunch of guest star roles and things, like, to do an indie film, whether it's a short or something even bigger, is nice to do to get the experience, to meet people and that sort of a thing. So some of the shorts that I've done, whether it's like College Humor, where I have friends over there and they were like, do you want to come and do a video short? It was like, yeah, of course, this is hilarious. So for me, it's always about looking at a project and saying, do I connect with this, and is this something, do I have the time, and would I want to do this? And for me, I love working. So as much as I can work, and also if the project speaks to me, then of course I would love to be a part of it. And especially when, like, certain friends who I highly respect ask me to do something, I'm like the first person to jump at it.
Great. So people, I'm sure, will be trying to send you material in the mail or Facebook, Twitter, all those. So what is your social media?
Yes, I do have social media. I know, I was somebody who really fought against it for a very long time, but I do have social media. I am on Twitter at Natalie Knepp, and I am on Instagram also at Natalie Knepp, and my Facebook is actually private, but I do, we just set up a Facebook fan page for me, and so that is up as well. It just needs to be updated, but it's up there.
What advice do you have for young actors who are thinking about making a move to New York? What should they expect, and what was the process for you finding an agent or a manager in New York City?
Well, it's interesting. Interestingly enough, I just went back about a month ago to speak with the students at Interlochen Arts Academy, where I had gone to school as a guest speaker 10 years after graduating, from the school. I guess 15 years now. And one of the things that I think was the biggest thing for all of them is, a lot of kids today are saying, do I go to college? Do I go to a BFA program? Do I go to a BA program? Do I study something else and not theater if I'm going to be an actor? And I think this is my best advice, really and truly, is how do you feel? Where are you? Because where I was when I was 17 and I went to Interlochen, I needed that. I needed that for myself. When I went to college, I needed that experience. I needed to learn more. I needed to feel that. But everyone is going to be different. I always say reach out to as many mentors, as many people who you trust and you value their opinion, you value their work. I call them now my personal millennials, different people from Interlaken who have contacted me since the trip out there to ask, what advice I would give them specifically. And for each one, it's very different based on who they are. So my advice is seek help, ask questions, ask as many questions as possible, and also take classes. And I think the biggest thing is know that this is a business more than anything. Like, learn the side of the business side of it, because that's what's going to make you separate from everyone else. You are your own brand, and you need to learn how to market yourself. And on top of it, like, go in with I can do this attitude. Don't be self-defeating. That is like the biggest thing that I can say is when you first start in something like this. It's challenging, but remember that you can do it. It really takes hard work and determination and perseverance.
Great words of advice. A lot of people forget that the word showbiz is show your biz. So perfect.
Yeah, show your biz. And just also know the types of roles that you want to play and stick to that. Make sure that you remember this is you. It's you, no one else. It's just you. And then everyone else around you is there to kind of navigate with you and be a part of your champion, your team. And then everything else, like, make sure you stay true to yourself through everything.
What's in the future for you? Movies, TV, Broadway?
Well, movies and TV are really my jam right now. I just finished a beautiful film that Nathan Catucci wrote and directed called Impossible Monsters, which stars Devika Beese and Santino Fontana and Donal Haliel, and it's just this beautiful, beautiful psychological thriller that I'm so proud to be one of the leads of, which will be coming out in the next year. And then on top of it, my film Sam, that was executive produced by Mel Brooks, and his son Nick Brooks wrote and directed it, is already out on all VOD platforms, which you can also see, which is a really fun romantic comedy.